Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're going to look at a moment in American luxury car history when something completely unexpected happened. For decades, luxury from Cadillac and Lincoln meant one thing: size. Big cars, long wheelbases, and a sense that more metal automatically meant more prestige. But in 1977, that idea was suddenly turned upside down. Because for the first time ever, Cadillac and Lincoln decided that their top luxury sedans would be smaller. And that decision gave us two very different interpretations of downsized luxury: the Cadillac Seville and the Lincoln Versailles. So the question today is simple, but the answer might surprise you. Who really did downsized luxury better in 1977? To understand why this comparison matters, you have to remember what luxury buyers expected in the mid-1970s. If you were spending serious money on a Cadillac or a Lincoln, you weren't just buying transportation. You were buying presence, comfort, and status. Size was part of the deal. A large footprint meant you had arrived. And yet, almost overnight, both brands decided to flip that script. Instead of offering their most expensive four-door cars in massive packages, they went smaller, tighter, and more European in philosophy. Today, we're going to walk through both cars carefully, in the same order buyers would have experienced them back then. And by the end, I'll tell you which one I personally would have chosen, and why. But more importantly, I want to know what you would have picked. Before 1977, the luxury hierarchy was very clear. At Cadillac, if you wanted the top four-door car that wasn't a coupe or convertible, you bought the Fleetwood Brougham. That car rode on a 133-inch wheelbase, 3 inches longer than the Calais or DeVille series, and 7 inches longer than the Eldorado. It was enormous. And in 1976, it carried a base price of $10,935, which translates to roughly $70,000 today. Over at Lincoln, the story was similar. If you weren't buying a Mark V coupe, you were stepping into the Continental four-door. That car rode on a 127-inch wheelbase and started around $9,300. Or about $64,000 to $65,000 today. Big cars, big money. That was luxury. But in 1977, everything changed. Cadillac actually moved first. The Seville debuted for the 1976 model year, but 1977 refined the formula. The most obvious change was the grille. The 1976 Seville used an egg crate texture that only appeared that year. For 1977, Cadillac switched to a more vertical grille design that would carry through the end of the first-generation Seville in 1979. When the Seville launched, it was shockingly expensive. The base price sat around $12,500, which is roughly $73,000 today. And that was before options. Despite the price, the car became a hit. And that's important, because luxury buyers had been conditioned to believe bigger meant better. The Seville proved that smaller could actually command more money. Interestingly, the Seville began life as something very different. Early on, Cadillac envisioned a smaller, more affordable model under a different name. But customer clinics told a different story. Buyers saw the car as a competitor to high-end European sedans, especially Mercedes-Benz. Cadillac listened, raised the price, and repositioned the car as a flagship. Design played a huge role here. The Seville's low hood line, pushed forward front wheels, and sheer body surfaces were unlike anything else on American roads. This design language would influence General Motors for years. Inside, the Seville offered comfort and refinement. though materials weren't always as rich as the price suggested. The interior felt plush and overstuffed, with thick door panels and soft seats that slightly compromised rear legroom. Under the hood, Cadillac used an Oldsmobile-sourced 350 cubic inch V8 with electronic fuel injection. It produced 180 horsepower and delivered smooth, quiet performance that felt appropriate for a luxury sedan, even if it wasn't fast by modern standards. Lincoln Versailles Deep Dive. Lincoln watched the Seville's success closely and responded quickly. The Versailles arrived for 1977, riding on the Granada and Monarch platform. Like the Seville, it began with humble underpinnings, but Lincoln invested heavily in refinement. The base price was lower, about $11,500, roughly $1,500 to $2,000 less than the Seville. Even so, sales never matched Cadillac's success. Styling was conservative. The Versailles carried a very formal front end, but the roofline and proportions revealed its roots. Lincoln attempted to add visual prestige through details like the faux spare tire hump on the deck lid and unique trim. Inside, the Versailles offered a plush environment with thick carpeting and heavily padded surfaces. The seats were comfortable, though the shared armrest and center console design felt less generous than Cadillac's approach. Mechanically, the Versailles fell behind. The standard engine was a 351 cubic inch V8 with a 2-barrel carburetor, producing just 135 horsepower. In California, buyers received a 302 cubic inch engine with similar output. While the car introduced innovations like clear coat paint and halogen headlamps, the lack of fuel injection and lower power hurt its luxury credibility. From an engineering standpoint, both cars represented serious effort. Cadillac invested heavily in refinement, even adding a steering damper to reduce road shock. The Seville felt calm and composed, especially at highway speeds. Lincoln focused on isolation, using double isolated shock mounts and additional bracing throughout the structure. In some ways, the Versailles actually rode more softly than the Seville. But perception matters, and in 1977, the Seville looked like the future, while the Versailles felt like an adaptation. So which one would I have chosen back in 1977? For me, it would have been the Cadillac Seville. Not because it rode better, or even because it was more powerful, but because it felt intentional. The design was confident. The fuel-injected engine matched the car's upscale ambition, and the Seville didn't feel like a compromise. That said, the Versailles deserves credit. In some ways, it rode better and isolated the road more effectively. But its styling and powertrain never quite delivered the presence buyers expected from a Lincoln. Now, I want to hear from you. If you were buying new in 1977, which car would you have chosen? Would you have gone with Cadillac's bold new direction or Lincoln's more conservative approach? Leave your choice in the comments and tell me why. And if you enjoy this kind of deep dive into classic luxury cars, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.